Hello and welcome back to Spine-Bending Reviews. My name is Jordan, and today's book review is on Blaze of Light by Marcus Brotherton. This book is about a Green Beret medic named Gary Beikirch, who received the Congressional Medal of Honor for his fighting at Doc Sang in Vietnam. I hope I'm saying that name right. One of the things that I really loved about this book is you can tell it's a progression. Gary was not a religious man at the beginning of his life, really. His family never really went to church. He never really had that upbringing. But by the end of the book, you can tell that he's really committed himself. And I think that there's something beautiful about that for any religion. The book is broken into two parts. The first part is about Gary's adventures in Vietnam and how he handled those. As a Green Beret medic, he was in charge of training the local population in medicine, basically. So typically, a Green Beret will train a militia, will train a group of people to protect themselves. In Gary's case, as a medic, he was training them to care for themselves, to care for their village. And in this case, he had a couple of assistants that he trained to do a number of things, and how to deal with teeth, like a dentist would, in how to handle insect problems. That was definitely something he worked with. And most importantly, when it came right down to it, is how to treat battlefield injuries. So one of the things I loved in this story at the beginning is how Gary interacted with people there in Vietnam. He talks about it repeatedly, over and over, how much he loved them, how much he appreciated them, and how, in a lot of ways, they were just like us here in the West. They have families, and they love their families, and really, that's what life is about, right? So what ends up happening with Gary, and what earns him the Congressional Medal of Honor, is his service for those people there in Vietnam, as well as for our country. At one point, the village is attacked by 10,000 North Vietnamese troops, and even though he's wounded with his vital organs hanging out of his body, he's able to go from person to person on the battlefield. Even after being told to stay back, he continues to go out and to help them, to treat them, to try to give them that chance at life. At some point, though, it does become too much for him. He ends up being evacuated by the third helicopter to set down. The first two were destroyed, and it was really a miracle that he was able to make it on the third. An eyewitness account is provided in this story by the gentleman that pulls him onto the aircraft. He says that the pilot told him, "We're not stopping, I'm not touching down." And really, that's what happened. The helicopter comes in, hits the ground, and bounces up, and in just that much time, the pilot expected Gary to be loaded onto the helicopter, and he is, miraculously. And that's where the first half of the book ends. The second half of the book talks about Gary's remarkable journey to finding faith, to finding Jesus Christ, and moving towards a better version of himself. And this is not an easy road for Gary. For starters, he meets his father again and learns more about his father. His father had left when he was a young child, and it was really something that haunted him for a long time. Finding that peace of mind really helped him develop where he should. He spent a short stint with his cousin, who got him involved in church, and he read the New Testament for the first time. This prompted him to work even harder. And eventually he enrolled at a Christian college that was teaching people to, teaching people to preach more about Jesus Christ, teaching them more about the Word of God. And that's where he met his wife, is right outside. One of his class projects involved him taking pictures, a photography class. And he was taking pictures of a church, and his wife, future wife, saw him doing that and left him a notice at his post office box. And it was really a sweet story to read about. I enjoyed it because it talks about, the book anyway, discusses how it was just these little notes that she kept leaving him, telling him how much she thought it was interesting that he was looking at church buildings, thought it was interesting that she saw him at church, had talked to his classmates about him. Maybe a little stalker, but he certainly liked it, and they ended up getting married. So the rest of the story involved him having lived in a cave up in a national park, and then eventually finding that working through your problems was better than trying to avoid them. It's an excellent story. I would highly recommend that you read this book. I got this book for $20 at Walmart. I know they've got it for $18 new on Amazon. You can get it 17 used. I would just go for the new copy. Why not? On the plus side, this book is also Lieutenant Dan approved. Yes, that's right. Gary Sinise has written a little thing about this book there on the front cover. It's nice to see that so many things have fallen in line for this author and for the gentleman that he wrote about, Gary Beikirch. The book is a little over 200 pages, and it was a fast read. It was fantastic. Highly recommended, 2 thumbs up. If you enjoy this kind of content, go ahead and hit that like button on this video. Subscribe to this channel to see even more of it. Hit that bell notification if you're on YouTube, if you want to get notifications for when these videos come out, and tell me what I can do to improve this channel with the comment section. Thank you so much, and until next time.